President Trump signing off on brand new travel restrictions that applies to travelers from 8 countries instead of just 6. The updated restrictions differ by nation based on its cooperation with the United States, and security include targeted limits on foreign nationals, and North Korea, Venezuela, and Chad are now a part of the restrictions that go into effect on October the 18th. Joining us right now to discuss is Texas Congressman and a member of the House Judiciary Committee, Louie Gohmert. Congressman, good morning to you.
Always great to be with you, Steve.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
All right, you know, the courts have been involved in this extensively.
Yes.
Now the president's come out with
unconstitutionally, by the way. They don't have that authority under Article 3, but they hadn't let the Constitution get in their way of legislating.
What do you think of the new restrictions on travelers?
I think they're great. I think they're very well spoken, and they articulate the reasons as to why they designated the 8 countries. You know, for example, Venezuela and Chad, and I mean, these all 8 countries are countries where, as the FBI representatives have testified before our committee, yes, you always hear that we will vet the refugees, but
right.
You got to understand, when we don't have any information from that country, the process of vetting is taking the information the individual gives us and comparing it to what we have from the country. Vet it, but we don't have any information from those countries. So I think the president's doing exactly what he should be doing. He's protecting America because we don't know who these people are.
This is what he ran on. He was talking about extreme vetting.
I love it when somebody gets elected that actually keeps their word. It's awesome.
It's so unusual for some people in Washington these days, particularly when it comes, Louie, to health care.
Yes.
And there were so many Republicans in the Senate who said, you know, give me a chance, re-elect me.
Hey, listen,
and now it looks like this is DOA.
Oh, I was out there in Arizona last year, and frankly, I think Dr. Kelly Ward would have won if, well, of course, the president came out and endorsed John McCain, a rare mistake.
Now McCain is saying no.
Yeah, well, he is one of those that said, I will repeal. If he had said last year what he was going to do, Kelly Ward would have beat him, and Kirkpatrick would have beat him. But, you know, nothing inhibits recovery from cancer like stress. I think Arizona could help him and us. Recall him, let him, you know, fight successfully this terrible cancer, and let's get somebody in here who will keep the word he gave last year.
Say that again. What are you suggesting? He be recalled?
I think it would. Yeah, I think it would be very helpful
because
to him and the country. He's got cancer. It's a tough battle, but stress is a real inhibitor toward getting over cancer. So let him go back, deal with the cancer, let Arizona recall him so that we can get somebody that will keep his word from last year.
He says, among other things, he would like this to be in regular order.
Bipartisan. He wants bipartisan.
What's the matter with that?
Nothing's wrong with it, but the problem is the Democrats will not allow any repeal of anything in Obamacare to be bipartisan. I mean, they really put the pressure on their people. Don't you dare support the Republicans at all, because there are a few that would like to be with us, but the pressure is immense. So we're not the ones keeping it from being bipartisan. It goes back to Henry Waxman passing it. He said, we don't need Republicans' votes. We don't want your input. And actually, as Joe Barton told me, he said if John Dingell had still, I mean, John is quite liberal when it comes to health care, but he's a very honest, honorable man. If he had stayed as chairman, he would have gotten Republican input. It would have been bipartisan, but they didn't do it bipartisan, and they are not going to allow us to have any Democratic votes to repeal what needs doing.
Louie, I got a feeling you're going to take heat for that comment about him getting recalled.
Look, the reason I say that, I was down in Lufkin at the Forest Fair, East Texas Fair, all over East Texas. People are hurting, and there are people who have diseases, and they lost their doctor, they lost their insurance.
And Obamacare's not working for them?
And they're begging, please, you've got to repeal this. You've got to give me some help. Others saying, I lost my job because of Obamacare. And one employer said, I'm struggling. He said, I went from $50,000 a year to $150,000 in 2 years. I can't I can't stay in business with these kind of increases. My employees will lose their jobs. There are people hurting. So there are people that have cancer, that have heart problems, just like John McCain, and they need help, and he is blocking them from getting the help that they need for their lives.
All right. Louie Gohmert, thank you very much for dropping by.
Thank you. And by the way, the president's got to appoint a second special counsel to investigate Mueller, Comey, Lynch, and the Clintons. He's got to. Nobody else can do it.
Why does he have to?
Because nobody else can do it. And
why their investigator?
Because Comey, as we've now found out, he lied more than we even thought. We know that Mueller was his confidant. By law, Mueller is disqualified from investigating Comey. We have got to have a second special prosecutor to investigate. And Jeff Sessions recused himself from anything touching Russia. Well, the Clintons touched Russia. So only the president is going to be able to make that appointment. He's got to do that for the sake of the country.
But if he does that, that's going to be a bigger story. It's going to be like he's trying to get rid of Mueller.
It would have been better if he could have fired Mueller. But the very day Comey testified that there is no collusion between Trump and the Russians, that was a day that Mueller realized, oh my gosh, I don't have a basis for being here. So he leaked out that very day, I'm now investigating Trump for obstruction, just so that Trump couldn't fire him and he could keep his job. Comey and Mueller colluded to get a special counsel. We've got to have a special counsel to investigate Comey's lies, and Mueller can't do it. He's disqualified. We've got to have a second special counsel.
Well, let's see what happens. All right, Louie, thank you very much.
Always great to be with you, my friend. Thank you.
So what do you think about what Louie just said? Email us, friends@foxnews.com, or you could tweet